People have been sending in a lot of orders for single-handed controllers lately. I don't know if it's because it's the holidays or if there was some news article about this. Not sure, I just know there's a lot of orders. But it's actually kind of difficult to find Xbox One controllers. Amazon barely has them anymore. And then Best Buy wants like $65 for them? Like what the heck? Because I'm going to have to raise my price. However, you can find the next-gen controller, the Xbox Core controller. You can tell it's different because of the D-pad. You can find these easily for like $60. So then I found out these are actually backwards compatible, or the Xbox One is forwards compatible, what have you, with the Xbox One. So I tested that out, made sure that it works, and it does. So I'm thinking, oh, I'll just use these from now on since I can actually source them. So what I'm going to do in this video is take these apart. These will be the first two accessibility controllers I've made for the Xbox Series X or whatever the heck it's called. Of course, these controllers are probably going to be using the Xbox One. Actually, I was playing Streets of Rage 4, and this D-pad is kind of weird. It's got like kind of like a curved concavity to it. That's kind of redundant, but it actually works really well because I was playing the game with the D-pad, not the analog stick. And as I talked about in the original video about these controllers when I did the teardown, come on, there we go. Yeah, like here's my lower analog piece, and it's, yeah, the mold is exactly the same size. So I don't really have to change anything. The only thing I'll probably have to change, for the left-handed version, when I move these buttons over here, I usually, I have to like make a piece there. And then on the Xbox One controller, there's a cross shape there. So I have this piece which has little notches that fit into the cross, and then I put the buttons around it. Whereas in this, it's just a big open circle, which will actually make it easier to modify and give me a little bit more room. Other than that, I think everything should just fit. Let's see, the secondary trigger. Oh, it's got a little nub on the inside. Oh, Ben, cut your cuticles. Complain about Ben's hands. I don't care. I don't care. Don't you understand I don't care? This is what real man's hands look like. People who build things with their hands, not just drink lattes and type on a computer. I mean, I do that too. Well, not the latte part. Oh no, I said something about man hands. Hashtag cancel Ben. Good luck. These hands are not my own, and whatever happened to her anyway? Oh wait, I think she became like a redneck. Like, I was over at my mom's house one Thanksgiving or Christmas, or the 2 times a year I visit, and all she does is watch cable TV. That's only people keeping cable TV alive as boomers. Once they're dead, cable TV they'll have both feet in the grave. Anyway, so she's watching some show about Alaska, like, I don't know, Alaska people. And then Jules there. She's just like hanging out. And I don't know why. Okay. Well, I mean, we've already seen inside this controller. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the same. Oh, that's neat. Before, when I did these, I would always put a hot glue blob on these because they'd fall out otherwise, but these are actually quite tight, so okay, that is a change. Someone said this is grounded now, this ring. Oh yeah, there it is, see? See that little tab there? And then it looks like it was going into, yeah, kind of like an annular ring right there. He's got Social Security, but doesn't pay the bills. Well, of course Social Security is not supposed to pay the bills, Jewel. You see, Social Security is meant to be one part of a 3-part retirement strategy, combining your personal savings, your pension, and Social Security. Wait, I wonder if it's just the fact that there's kind of like a plastic chamber making it echo. I mean, because otherwise, what's the difference? I think that's it. Like, yeah, see how it's mostly hollow? See that? I bet it's just, there's just basically air resonating in it, like almost like a little speaker. Oh my gosh, I think that's why. Oh dear, not even Jewel could have figured that one out. If you kidnapped Jewel, would it be a Jewel heist? Oh, look at that nice giant circle. Oh, I can fit much better buttons than that. It was weird. I was at the grocery store. I was walking through one of the aisles, and one of the end caps had this graphic of like a blonde woman on it, and I was thinking, oh, that kind of looks like Jewel. And then I realized in the background, Jewel music was playing, so I wonder if it was like some sort of subconscious thing. So, let's see. So we got that. Oh, we also have the D-pad. Never expected Ben to talk about Jewel so much. Oh, come on, I'm a Gen X guy. Apparently I'm supposed to be obsessed with Jewel. I mean, she had that album where she had a picture of her feet for some reason. Oh, wait, I say that rhetorically, like it wasn't on purpose or with intent. I bet Quentin Tarantino had like 100 copies of that album. So this D-pad goes here. So the only thing I'll have to keep in mind when I want to put a new piece of plastic here to store the buttons is I don't want to get in the way of this. Now what I normally do, well, I guess I can just show you. I have a laser jig. I actually stick this into my laser and then I hit it to make the marks where I'm supposed to drill for this and for the secondary buttons. Oh man, I have to work on the single-handed controller single-handedly. All right, I'm gonna go to manual focus mode. Then I'm gonna jog the table down. Because really the focus of the laser is just the distance between the laser lens and the object. So the idea is you push this up so the screw heads hit the top ruler and then to the left. Okay, now I can do a test run with a laser. There's a magnetic switch here, so if the door is open the laser won't fire, and I can engage the red dot pointer so we can see where it actually goes. Alright, so we're just going to do a basically a dry run. They look pretty decent. Ah, what the heck, let's go for it. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Made the laser marks. Again, you're not really, well, not. ABS is something you're not supposed to put in a laser. See how it turned yellow? Usually if yellow results, that's bad. I mean, there's worse things you could put into a laser, like PVC, polyvinyl chloride. Chloride. What happens when you vaporize chloride? Not good things. So I'm gonna drill out those two holes there. That's where the D-pad goes. Okay, I think I'll have enough room here. I could have a little bit of a lip, like maybe a 1/16. Now, of course, this could vary a little bit, and of course, this doesn't, so yeah, but a 1/16 lip would be safe. So then what I do is I use my X-Acto knife and I score these spots in two directions. This is where the, well, in this case, it'll be R, right bumper, right, or R3. That's where those buttons go. Now, some have asked, why don't I sell the parts for this or put the files online? And the answer to that is I build a lot of these and I make money on it, so the files are mine. So if you want to do it, you can make your own files. I have to protect my time investment. Oh, Ben's an evil capitalist. Yup. Because you know what? We are living in a capitalist world, and I am a capitalist guy. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Oh, wow. I wonder how many dumb song references I can make in this video. You know, whether or not you like capitalism, it is a capitalist world, so, you know, might as well deal with it. That's why I don't like the idea of, like, teaching kids things other than capitalism and then release them into a capitalist world, and they're like, oh, the world is so unfair. It's like, well, yeah, it's like training a firefighter to bake cakes and then putting them into a burning building. Okay, I've got those two tack switches drying with some Tester's model glue because it's good for plastics. I don't use super glue on these because super glue is really good at seeping into small things like tack switches and seizing them up, so I don't use it. So I got these from Osh Park. It's my D-pad assembly. I used to get these from macro fab where my buddy Parker works, but the price got too high. So now I have to stuff them by hand, either by using an oven or just putting them on one by one. So I think I'll just put these on one by one. So to solder these little surface mount switches in place, I'm going to just tin one pad like that. It's kind of hard to show you this and be able to do it myself. I'll try my best. Then I'll bring the switch in and heat that up. And that should hold it in place. Then I can hit the other 4 sides. So I thought, oh, maybe Jewel doesn't know how Social Security is supposed to work because she's Canadian, like all singers. But I looked it up and she's American. I don't think Jewel has to worry about Social Security. Unless she spends all her money like MC Hammer. On a hot summer's night, would you offer your throat to the wolf with the red roses? Will he offer me teeth? Yes. Will he offer me fur? Yes. Yes. On a hot summer's night, would you offer your throat to the wolf with the red roses? I bet you say that to all the wolves. Oh, I know. Disney could do a live-action, gender-swapped remake of The Nightmare Before Christmas and have Celine Dion be Jack Skellington. Maybe I should find a vendor to stuff these. Hand soldering those little tack switches is kind of tough, as the pads aren't very well exposed. You end up with more flux than solder. What could I randomly ramble about? Apparently people like that. Oh, how about how Angry Video Game Nerd has like a VHS store now? Like he's desperately trying to be like Red Letter Media, except for they're far, far, far more humorous and talented than him. Imagine what would happen if Angry Video Game Nerd wasn't whitelisted by his MCM. Oh, let me back up there a bit. So, on YouTube, you're not blacklisted, you're whitelisted. So it's like, oh, this person can swear on a video, but this person can't. Well, and not get demonetized. So, if you have a multi-channel network, it's kind of like having an agent, and they'll go to bat for you and allow you to, you know, do things other YouTubers on their own can't. But then, you know, I think it was like, was it Angry Joe? He got let go because he was with Maker Networks, which was owned by Disney. It's so dumb. It's like YouTube has turned into like Veggie Tales, you know, like it's got to be all nice and don't swear. It's like, oh man, that's lame. But think about it, like if you're Angry Video Game Nerd and all of your humor is derived from profanity, like if you weren't able to swear, you'd be done. Oh man, yeah, I should have baked those. Soldering them by hand is kind of difficult. I still have my reflow oven out in the garage. It doesn't smell very good when you use it, so that's why I do it outside. Oops, I rotated that wrong. There we go. So again, I'm just going to use the Tester's model glue, just like when I was making model trains and space shuttles when I was a kid. Well, I didn't make the models, I just glued them together. Remember those really simple ones that just snap together? It's like, oh man, that's too easy. I'll let this dry for a bit and then I'll screw it in place, and then that will kind of show me how much room I have for the buttons here. But I think I can make much larger buttons than I had before because this circle is a lot larger than, well, here. Yeah, because before I had to make them fit inside that cross, right? But here I've got a lot more room. And hopefully I can make nicer buttons. Because before what I'd have to do is I'd have to use Ninja Flex because there wasn't enough room to have like individual buttons with slotted chambers like controllers usually have. So what I would do is I would print the buttons out of TPU Ninja Flex, basically so they wouldn't break, because the original prototypes, they would crack. So basically it's like the buttons are all connected. But if I have more room, I can probably make nicer buttons. Oh yeah, I'm working on, I have that video where I showed how to get started with a AT Tiny 10. That's actually been like one of my most popular videos. It still makes money. It still makes money every month, so I'm working on a follow-up to that. One of my follow-up ideas, which is to use that little chip to generate a black and white NTSC video signal, and then make a really tiny, like little game console like the size of this. Yeah, like the batteries from those cheapy Bluetooth headsets I took apart. That's actually what I'm going to use them for. These hands are not my own. Oh man, if I ever get arthritis, I'm screwed. I'll have to go on Social Security, but it won't pay my bills. Yeah, it'll change with variations in the laser, but there's not a whole lot of gap there. I mean, yeah, maybe a 1/16 of an inch at most. Yeah, it's more like 0.40 inches. Well, the reason that's important is because if you had enough of a, oh, my cat's still meowing. If you had a larger lip, you could have your new buttons go right up to the edge. But if you can't have that large of a lip, then your buttons have to be a little further in. However, I could have kind of like a quarter moon concavity there in the piece. Although how well it connects to this would vary. Oh man, I'm getting low on these. Yeah, I don't know why. There's a big rush for controllers. I guess because it's the holiday season. It's the best time of the year. I don't know if there'll be snow, but have a cup of cheer. Have a holly jolly Christmas. Say hello to friends you know, everyone you meet. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Ah, there we go. Yeah, it's off by about 1/2 degree. Oh, speaking of that, my new dial caliper should come today. So I have like those good, I've got like good English, brown and sharp, Swiss made, oh yeah. But my metric dial calipers are just like some cheapy ones off eBay, like $25. And I'm a Luddite, I don't like digital dial calipers. So I actually want like a analog dial of metric and imperial. But that's not all. I actually also want a Big Master car has dial caliper holsters that clip onto your belt, and I'm like, oh, I have to have this. So I may have ordered 2 holsters. And what I'm gonna do, because apparently they're leather, I don't know if they're real leather, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my laser and I'll label one metric. Another one, I haven't decided if I'm gonna label it Imperial or SAE. SAE obviously would take up less space. Then I was also thinking, okay, which side of my belt should I wear them on? So I'm thinking Imperial on the left, because that's like the West, like America. And then the rest of the world that isn't America, well, also South America, but whatever. The rest of the world is to the east, which is to the right, and that'll be metric. So that'll be my mnemonic for where I put them on my belt. Oh yes, my package came right on time because I'm waiting on a print. Ooh, oh yeah, it's a Toyo. Yeah, yes. They kind of look like what's that called? Slippers. Kind of a lighter color than I would have guessed. Oh, they've already got some text on the side. Well, I'll just laser it right here. Well, apparently this is supposed to fit. So. Oh man, you gotta really shove that in there, don't you? There we go. Draw, Pilgrim. Bud, I can't let you into my secret lab because there's things in here that can burn you. You keep trying to bite that ground braid, but it's right next to AC, which means, I mean, it would just shock me, but it could kill you. That's not what you want, do you? Maybe he has a death wish. Okay, all right, he's going to the pinball machine, which has exposed AC wiring under it. I mean, on the one hand, it's like, well, he definitely learned his lesson, but on the other hand, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, probably, it could kill him. Be like all those people who said, oh, I got shocked and I got electrocuted. It's like, no, you got shocked. If you got electrocuted, you wouldn't be typing on the internet that you got electrocuted. This is my last white colored cap. I guess I better print some more. So I'm anticipating that the right-handed version of this should be almost basically no changes. I can use all the same parts and techniques. And if you watch the teardown video of this controller, even the test pads have the same numbering. I mean, I did take some notes. There we go. Yeah, so really the main change is going to be how I reproduce the buttons in this chamber. So I'll just design a new 3D printed part. So what I do, where is it? Oh yeah. What I usually do is I print a, or laser cut a plate for tack switches, and then I fit it in here, right? And then that's compressed by the buttons that I put through here. So it looks like I'm out of those too. Man, I'm out of everything. So yeah, I'll do it. I guess I'll do it in a slightly different way. There are some things about that I don't like. So I might actually make it an entirely 3D printed part or 3D printed parts instead of the laser cut parts, because some of those have some issues as well. Oh, so yeah, so the face button, so it's on the left-hand side, it'll be R1 and then R3, which is when you click in the stick. So I'll just attach some wires to that and run it through. But are you being a good cat or a bad cat? Bad cats. Look how big he's getting. He's almost 8 pounds now. Back there is AC wiring. That's what I don't want him to go get, but look at, he loves that grounding braid. Oh, he's getting close to it. No, bud, no! Oh, you're gonna come scratch at my chair? Yeah, I mean, it's not completely scratched yet. You've got some work. Oh, no, my private area. You hit that once with your claw and, yeah, it didn't feel good. Sometimes Bud makes me feel like Carl on Aqua Teen Hunger Force, where he's like, oh yeah, Cup, yeah, just blow up my house, that's fine. I feel the same way. It's like, oh yeah, Bud, just knock over that lamp, that's fine. You know, I wanted it knocked over. I miss that show. I think when I signed up for HBO Max to watch some of their movies, the first thing I'm gonna watch is Aqua Teen Hunger Force. So I wire in these buttons, and then I have the lead here with the right-hand side indicated. Then I test it by beeping out the ends, and then I just put a piece of funky foam over it. You know, it's weird, when I was coming up with this style of controller back in like 2018, I thought these buttons would be the major point of failure. And they have broken, but no, the major point of failure is the lower analog stick, so, which, you know, comes from the original controller. So, you know, it's not just Nintendo that has problems with analog sticks. It's just that everyone thinks Nintendo is so sweet and fuzzy and loves their customers so much, and it's just a big fuzzy happy company. But no. It's kind of funny, like, the more people love a company, the more evil the company is. Apple, Disney, Nintendo. Hey, remember that time the evil corporation, EA, lobbied Congress to make game rentals illegal? No? Right, because that was Nintendo that did that. Okay. But they walk on water. If I could walk on water, if I could find some way to brew. So when is Disney gonna have like Disney Plus After Dark? You know, like maybe get some R-rated movies on there? Because Disney used to make R-rated movies. What? Yeah. Like all that Miramax, Pulp Fiction was a Walt Disney movie. Touchstone Pictures, that was Disney. Hollywood Pictures, what was the phrase? If it's the Sphinx, it stinks. But yeah, so, you know, that's the thing about Disney that's kind of interesting. Like, they've always catered to like kids, girls, and like Disney-loving moms. Whenever they try to diversify their portfolio, they always push towards men. That's why, like, if you look at a lot of like the early like ambitious bombs, like The Black Hole, Tron, The Black Cauldron, Rocketeer, they're all basically aimed toward like a young male demographic, because, you know, basically once boys went past 10, Disney didn't really have them as customers anymore. So that's why they're like, oh man, we gotta sell things to young men too. And so yeah, that's why you had like in the 90s, they had like a lot of Jerry Bruckheimer productions. And finally they struck gold after decades of trying with Pirates of the Caribbean, which again was meant to cater to all four quadrants, which is women below 25, men below 25, women above 25, men above 25. So Disney was like a 2-quadrant company, maybe 2.5 at best. They're like, oh, look, men go to movies too. And then look, then what did they do? They bought Marvel and Lucasfilm. And then lo and behold, the last 10 years, they've made tons of money because they catered to more than just kids. What a shock. And you know what? The majority of people in the world are adults. So maybe we could put some of these classic R-rated Fox movies on Disney Plus after dark. Disney After Dark. Oh, I mean, you know, they have like, what is that? What's that place in Disney World? Like Club 21 or something? Like, it's not like Disney doesn't cater to adults. It's just like they're trying to be squeaky clean. But, you know, heaven forbid, you know, The Witcher gets in a bath with a naked woman, but The Mandalorian can kill hundreds of people. That's fine, but just don't take a bath with a nude person. Disney should remake The Rocketeer for Disney Plus since theaters are dead. 0.955. Because I really liked Rocketeer when I was like 15 or 14 or whatever. However old I was when that came out. I was 15. Because, you know, it was kind of like an Indiana Jones movie. But I watched it as an adult. It doesn't really hold up. There's like nothing for the Rocketeer to do. You know, there's no enemies in the sky. So really, they should reboot it. It should take place in World War II, not before World War II. And the hero should be like this wimpy GI, kind of like Captain America, right? And then he's in France or something, and the Americans steal the jetpack from the Germans because that's far more historically accurate than the Germans trying to steal jet technology from the Americans. It's like hashtag read a history book. You have like the French version of Jennifer Connelly. She's like this French woman, and then he like saves her, and then there's things for him to do, right? He can like fight like jets, and he can help like American bombers like B-17s and stuff, right? So you can fly around in the sky. There's actually things in the sky for him to fight. Versus in the original Rocketeer where, think about it, what does a Rocketeer do? He flies up to a plane, then he flies through a cornfield, he flies through a skylight, and then he flies to a blimp. Oh, I'm sorry, a dirigible. That's all he does with a rocket pack in the first movie. There's nothing for him to do. So it should be set someplace where there's enemies and things to do in the sky. And where's the perfect place for that? World War II. There you go, Disney. Go ahead and do that. It's Iron Man in World War II. Boom, sold. I'd watch it. That'd be awesome. Yeah, let's look inside here. Okay, it's almost the same. The only difference is the notch at the top doesn't go all the way through the plastic. So, oops, I forgot to squirt from the front. Oh well, I can still. Oh man, that came up pretty easy. So it looks like it's, yeah, pretty much the same. It's almost exactly the same except for that. All right, well, I'll just take that pattern and bring it into Fusion, I think, and then start drawing circles around it. All right, here's my 3D printed part. Let's see if it fits. And there's a little bit of first layer squish effect in it from the 3D printer. Having fixed that with my Dremel. Let's see if that makes a difference. Come on. Happy little clouds. Yeah, it's still pretty tight. Why am I whispering? Oh, that part's hitting that. See how I have a raised portion? The reason there's a raised portion is so there's basically spacing for the wires and also to keep it from touching anything. So it's basically so the wires I solder on don't get smashed against something on the controller and cause a short circuit. Hey, remember Short Circuit? Yeah, I think people have heard of that. Let's reboot it. Oh, okay. Hey, what if we remade a movie that didn't quite work right the first time? That would be a better idea for a reboot, wouldn't it? Nah, we gotta reboot movies that worked the first time, like Ghostbusters. Actually, apparently they're redoing Van Helsing, that... Oh wait, I can't say the S word on YouTube because I'm not whitelisted. The S word. Seriously, it's like being in like preschool Sunday school. Like, oh, the S word. It's like, that's for blasphemy. Now they have the map, and in this sort of race, there's no silver medal for coming in second. I swear to God, they deliberately gave Sean Connery as many S words as possible to say in that movie. S words. I'll take S words for 800. It's like, Ah, Donovan, I knew you'd sell your mother for Niskushkin Vash, but I never thought you'd sell your soul to the slime of humanity. It's like the writer's like typing that at me like, it's gonna be so funny hearing Sean Connery say this. All right, a few tweaks, but I think it should mostly work. So the idea is the tack switches will go on from this side. And yeah, so I've got this in place. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually design the piece that fits here based off of the center point of this design. Okay, might need a few tweaks yet, but this should work. So, see, before I would glue two pieces of engraving plastic together to get this lip, or I can just 3D print it. I mean, the flash forgery is very fast. I can print this in like 4 minutes. No worries. Push down. Let me just bend these over. Whoop-a-doop-a-doop-boop. That's why the end of my tweezers are all scratched up, is because of this. Oh man, stop eating your cuticles. Well, it's like recycling, right? Like I'm recycling my body. And they say a lot of human traditions are born of our shared heritage of cannibalism. Even things like kissing. Just gonna solder up a common ground here, just using a rando wire. I'm actually getting low on this Ultra ATA cable. I'm having to actually use new thin cable of this gauge, which isn't very environmental of me. It's mental that I am not trying to save the environment. That sounds like some sort of like stupid rap from the 90s, like some sort of like, you know, the environment is cool rap they'd show at school. The lyrics would be along the lines of, you'd have to be mental to not be environmental. And you might be thinking, oh man, that's a terrible rap. And I'm like, well, of course, it would be like 90s edutainment. It's like, ooh, what did the kids like? I know, rap, skateboards. Then Awesome Possum shows up. Hi, kids. Ah, I'm a cool possum. You're not cool. Yes, I am. I'm so cool. If you're so cool, how come you gotta keep telling people that you're cool? Because I'm cool. And then Dr. Machino, not Dr. Robotnik, Dr. Machino, that's Awesome Possum's nemesis. He even says in the game, you're not so awesome. An animal that eats garbage is probably a good spokesperson for environmentalism, because possums recycle our garbage into food. That reminds me, I'm not sure if we're going to be able to make Possum 3 next year. I don't think the current situation will be resolved enough by then. Awesome Possum kicks Dr. Machino's butt. I'm awesome! No, you're not. I think I made those wires a little too long, but with some quote-unquote clever arrangement, I can make sure they're all flat at least. Gotta make sure that it's flush. The raised portions, like what's under my left thumb, with torn up cuticles. Again, I really... Wait a minute, someone might say, oh, Ben, if you don't care, why do you keep bringing it up? And well, it's because I want to reinforce how much I don't care. I should maybe add some sort of lip that helps me position this at the right depth, because right there I just kind of had to feel it, because you want it to be, well, you want it to be flush with this piece here, because that piece pushes up against the circuit board, right? And in addendum, I'm going to remove this. All right. So I'm going to just hit this with a little bit of super glue to keep it in place, and then once it dries, I will take measurements from the front side to get basically a reference depth from the front of the case to these tack buttons, and then I'll use that to design the portion that fits in here. Yeah, 3D printing a few more test pieces. In the meantime, thinking about how to accurately install this cap piece. Since it's just a circle, I want it to be straight. I noticed on the inside there's these nice bomb sights. Oh, thank you, Microsoft. All too easy. Yeah, let's see. What is it at? 22.5 degrees. Okay, that makes sense. Because that's half of 45. So, doot. Okay, so it means this one would be 45 plus 22.5, so that would be what, 67.5? Okay, so what I can do is I can basically 3D print little nubs here and line them up to these. And that way I can install it correctly. Actually, well, whatever. I'll just make nubs to line it up. Let's just do a test and see if this actually lined up. I'll just hit the tops of them with black. Yeah, looks pretty good. Feels like I'm lining up a puzzle like in Tomb Raider or Drake's Drape Deception or whatever. Had to go in and design a few new parts, but I think I have it. So here's the buttons in that base plate. And then I redid this to be a little thicker. See, in the past, this was just a flat piece that went in place, but there's actually a pretty decent slope on that hole. It's about 10 degrees. So what I did was I made this piece actually slope with it, see? Then I also changed the TPU buttons. The reason I use TPU is because, well, like here's just PLA that I printed for a test, right? But what can happen here is after you press it enough, the PLA can crack. The first layer of the TPU seems a little squished. And so the height of the buttons is also sloped. See that? Yeah, I think I might adjust the file a little bit. I actually printed this TPU on the old MakerBot since you had to print TPU slowly anyway, so that's a good thing for the old slow MakerBot. All right, I finally have the buttons the way I want them. So now I can put the circuit board back in, like so. All right, now I can solder it up. Some of the test points are different. Most everything goes near this I/O expander chip on this particular model controller. All right, there we go. I have the up, down, left, right, and the X, A, Y buttons attached. This is the B button. It goes to the other half of the controller. Now I just need to take this, snake it over. This is going to be for the right bumper. So the leftmost wire is R3, which also goes to the other circuit board. So I'll separate that one. Then I'll just find a path here. Yeah, that should work. Okay, now I'm going to desolder one analog stick per controller, as well as remove the Hall effect sensor used for the triggers. Using my Heiko here. And if we have trouble with one, we can just add a little bit more solder and try again. Let's use my trusty ancient screwdriver. Screwdriver is probably older than a lot of you people watching this. There we go. All right, I'll repeat that for both of them. One thing that's a little different, they have resistors between the signals for all the buttons. Before they had unpopulated diodes. So, like for the B button, I just gotta come over here with this wire, snip it. Another thing I don't like about using new wire, besides the fact that it costs money, is it's usually harder to peel the peel the coating off. Old wire, it's easy. So I'm just coming here on the side and hit that resistor. All right, then we can just fold this back in like that. All right, then this was our R3 connector. So, well, that's interesting. This controller doesn't have any captain on it. Just like the first one that I took apart did. And then we come over here and attach this to the R3 spot where the tack switch was. With older wire, you can just kind of hit it and it'll like recede back like my hairline. Not as easy with new wire. But yeah, I'm awfully low. So if anyone has any Ultra ATA thin ribbon cable that they don't need, hit me up. I can always use it. I have the front half of the left controller ready to go, and there's blood on the back of my hand. Probably cat related. I don't even know where that came from. Maybe it's my cat's blood. I don't know. Maybe it's not my blood. Hope this isn't Chris's blood. All right, so here's the right-handed controller. We don't have to rewire the face buttons. Saves us a little time. Well, this one has the analog on the right, so we can't pass the cable through that hole because that's where the analog goes. But let's see if there's a fortuitous slit here. Looks like there is. just like the last controller. Thanks, Microsoft. Can't remember where I was at. I think it was E3, right? Yeah, I think it was E3. And I was talking to some Microsoft people. And they're like, oh yeah, we don't care how much you mod, Ben, because, quote, you buy a lot of our stuff. But they didn't use that word. Now see how I had to put the analog stick in ahead of time? Or the analog cap because it's captured in there. So yeah, looks pretty good. I did make a few mistakes wiring up the first shift register. Well, not technically a shift register, I/O expander. I've done so many of these using the 2016 model controller that my brain just goes on autopilot. I don't even think about it. So I wired it backwards, like up, down, left, right was backwards. Yeah, let's see. Let me snake this down. Well, no, I guess we could. Yeah. That should be flat enough. All right, I'll just use because the connector goes on the inside, so that should be fine. Oh yeah, PP bus 2, rail battery voltages, New York real estate market. Next, I'm gonna make the secondary analog triggers. So obviously you can only reach one of the triggers. So this trigger gets moved to the back, and I'm using this frame, and this frame was designed using a 3D mesh of a controller that I bought off Turbo Squid, and as you can see, it still fits perfectly. So yeah, I mean, I think they changed a few things, maybe like, well, I mean, they changed this in the front, but the back of it is basically identical. Just a little bit of hot glue, just enough to hold it in place. And I've pre-drilled a hole for the Hall effect sensor. So I'm going to use some through-hole Hall effect sensors, which are kind of hard to source. They don't have as many options. So what I actually did was, like, you can actually buy the same Hall effect sensor that they use on the controller. It's an Allegro part, but only in surface mount. And to make this easier, I try to use through-hole. But yes, as I've mentioned, through-hole parts are getting harder to get. Well, I mean, you can still get them, but there's less variety of parts available. And, you know, it's kind of a really small part, too, so it's like you would need, like, a separate circuit board to put it on. And I actually did something like that in the controllers I made, like, oh, I don't know, 7 years ago. Oh, so I basically used the hot glue to keep it in place just long enough to get one of the screws in place. There we go. And with that screw in place, I drill out this hole. It's the next gen, baby. Good luck finding it. You know, last year, I got like this Amazon rewards credit card. My main goal was to use the points to get a new video card. Even though I know deep down that those points come from people who are less able to pay off their credit card debt than I. It's kind of like trickle-up economics. What would Reagan think of that? But anyway, I was like, oh, I think my cat was down here. Actually, didn't knock over too much stuff. That's a good change. So I'm like, oh, yeah. I'll just save up, you know, like $500 worth of points over the year. Then I'll buy a new video card. For free, using less fortunate people's money. Yay, capitalism. But now you can't find anything. Like, the absolute most I will spend is $500. So yeah, probably gonna be like a RTX 3070, but nope. Everything's being scalped. You know, what was that PlayStation 4 game? I played through Spider-Man, not the Miles Morales one, like the older one. Oh, just so you know. So I always keep like one of these triggers laying around. So what I do is I use it as a polarity reference, because the polarity does matter with the Hall effect sensor. It's not just the proximity of the magnetic field, it's the direction in relation to the sensor. It'll actually make the values go, well, not inverse, but it'll cause them to flip. So yeah, basically, we're gonna take one of these Hall effect sensors. This is an Allegro A1326 Lua T. And through my testing, what I realized was, I try to find the Hall effect sensors that are actually still in stock and through hole, because, well, as you can see, it's a lot easier to work with. And then what I would do is I would actually just change the magnets on the triggers, right? Because the sensitivity would be different. Now, the controller itself uses ceramic magnets because obviously that's cheaper. And I'm using neodymium, which they're stronger, which changes the profile. But that's okay because, you know, you can try using, well, I usually use 6mm by 3mm magnets, but you can get all sorts of sizes. So what I realized with this particular sensor, you can use a neodymium magnet, but see how it's slightly recessed into the trigger? It's not flush like it used to be. So it's recessed like that, so it has a little bit more distance to give us the proper range. I also experimented with 3mm by 3mm magnets, and there were some sensors that use that. But I thought, you know what, if I know that the recessed 6 by 3mm magnet works along with this particular sensor, which is still in stock, I'll just do that. This storage bin is just for making single-handed controllers, both PlayStation and Xbox. So I keep, you know, a lot of it is 3D printed parts, but there's also some electronics and circuit boards and switches, and of course my magnet supply. So when I first bought this house, I didn't have internet because the first month I owned it, I was just like getting it ready and painting and stuff. While finishing the Ben Heck show, that was a very hectic month. So I've installed a spring, as you can see. Anyway, so the only radio I had was this old AM radio that I used as a prop on Lizard to Death. It was old back then, now it's even older. I think it's 60 years old? Yeah, it's about 60 years old now. It still works. Anyway, so I found this country radio station. I think it was called Hank FM. Yes, no, not Hank FM, Hank AM. Because the only thing on AM is like Rush Limbaugh and country music, and maybe like college sports. So anyway, so I was painting and listening to this old tube radio. I remember I heard the song I hadn't heard in like a million years. Probably not since like my dad was alive, because he always listened to country music. It was like, all the gold in California is sitting in a bank down in Beverly Hills in somebody else's name. That's all I remember. But I remembered that chorus about all the gold. I think it's because the gold rush is over and now it's the movie rush, which is now also over. Alexa, play All the Gold in California.
Here's All the Gold in California by Larry Gatlin and the Gatlin Brothers.
See, the key to, well, actually it's changed. Country music has changed over the years. It used to be, the key to a good country music song was to kind of make it sound like church. Like, think about like, all the gold in California. You know, it kind of sounds like a, is that called a psalm? I've attached a bank of 3 wires to the Hall effect sensor. That's going to be a VCC, ground, and sample. And then we'll just attach that to the circuit board where we remove the Hall effect sensor. So if it's an old country song, it's got to be about like, it's got to sound like a church song, you know? Praise be to corn and trucks and mud. You know, it sounds like a ballad, like a religious ballad. But now it's different. So country music has changed. Ever since it was like kind of made commercialized, or well, mainstream by Garth Brooks and Shania Twain. Now, the only theme in country music is how it's okay to be a redneck. That's, well, actually correction. Like if there's female country singers, it's usually about killing your man. But male country singers, it's all about like how it, yeah, that's every song. That's the basic premise. It's okay to be a redneck. It's okay to be poor. It's okay to drop out of school in grade 8 and marry your cousin some more. Right? That's every song. And then also they do the clicks. They do click, doom, 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 click, doom, doom. Yeah, they click everything. So it's like, it's okay to be a redneck. It's okay to have a truck. It's okay to not know anything when you're down on your luck. That's every song. So it's like, oh man, I'm a redneck. Oh wait, this song tells me that it's okay to be a redneck. Well, I feel okay to be a redneck now. So if you're wondering why these controllers cost hundreds of dollars, it's because I have to do a lot of intricate soldering, and not everyone can do intricate soldering, so I will charge people for doing intricate soldering. Hashtag capitalism. All right, so I'm gonna put these caps on, and with a slit for the cable. I tested it on the computer, everything works. The new trigger works as well. Yeah, so we're just gonna basically, oh wait, one more thing we should do, just to make sure we got the tines right. Oh, I love saying the word tines. Okay, cool. I will do the same thing, attaching the left hand trigger for this one. Was it like last week when I released something like 3 videos in 1 week? No, I released like almost 4 videos in a week, didn't I? Oh, I don't know, however many I've released. That pleased the algorithm. I started getting more views in general. I think that's kind of where the YouTube treadmill comes into play. Like, they just want you to churn videos, which is one of the big reasons I stopped doing the show. Everyone asks that. I'm just like, I've answered this question 1 trillion times. I don't know why I have to keep answering it. Like, the schedule just got nuts, you know? Trying to build a new project every week for like, what, 8 years? Yeah. The YouTube treadmill, the only treadmill that makes you gain weight. Oh yeah, speaking of capitalism, so I have my sensor there, so I'm gonna mark the right pin red, like red right Republicans, to help me remember which one's which. That way after I cover it up, I still know what to wire up to. And then on the controller, looking down from this angle to the right, and also when you're doing this side, down to the right. So that's how I keep track. It's like that episode of The Office where he goes into that office and he starts calling everyone like shirty. Green means go ahead and don't mention it. I brought you into this world, Dwight, and I can take you out. When are we gonna get the reboot of that? I think what we should do is once Office goes away from Netflix, goes to whatever Peacock is, we can keep it alive like our ancient ancestors did through oral tradition. We can like sit around a campfire and be like, look, Jan, Dwight is here and he brought a person, so I don't see why he can't join our dinner party. BFD, I'm a screenwriter and I'm a candle maker. You don't see me bragging about it. Man, I'd love to burn your candles. You burn it, you buy it. Great, I'll be your first customer. You're hardly my first. That's what she said. That is a $250 plasma TV you just destroyed, babe. Good luck paying me back on your $0 a year salary plus benefits. And Jan Levinson No Gould ran over and grabbed the Dundee from the shelf. Now the little kids are like, then she hurled it steadfastly at Michael's prized possession, his plasma TV measuring 12 inches. Michael leaped from the table, aghast in rage. His mouth gaped open like that of a woolly mammoth tyrannosaur. You know how Horizon Zero Dawn, awesome game by the way, takes place like 1,000 years in the future after a cataclysm wipes out Earth? Spoiler warning. Maybe in the sequel, there could be like this underground church, kind of like the people that worship the atom bomb in one of those Planet of the Apes sequels back in the 70s. Or this cult, and they found the DVDs of The Office and they worship that, right? Michael Scott, who art in the office, hallowed be thy name. Pray for us office workers now and in the hour of our deaths. That's what she said. The office people will become like the new myths, like the new Hercules. Man, Horizon Zero Dawn was such a great game. I actually misplaced the disc for it when I moved. So see, physical media ain't all that. But I finally found it. It was, strangely enough, it was in the case for Singularity, which was that, BioShock in Russia game that Raven made like 10 years ago. Maybe part of the Horizon Zero Dawn project was not only to preserve humanity and like raccoons and stuff, but also to preserve the works of The Office, right? Or maybe they had like this arc, like this cultural arc. I think they did actually. and it was gonna have like the Mona Lisa and all this stuff, but it got blown up by a robot, and the only part of the arc that remained was like The Office and Zardoz, starring Sean Connery, and humanity just had to deal with it. So that's why humanity went around like, you know, punching metal dinosaur robots and putting their parts on their head. All right, my fellow cavemen, let us sing. You took me by the hand, made me a man. That one night, you made everything alright. Ooh. Then picture all the cave people like joining in hand in hand around the campfire singing that song. All night, all right, oh yeah. So you see this, there's all these online theories about The Office. It's actually pretty intricate, and one of them is that Hunter is actually the father of Jan's baby. Because if you think about it, in that dinner party, you've got this very like, you know, modern progressive woman, and she's drinking while pregnant. So she didn't know she was pregnant. Now, and if you listen to that song, it's like, you took me by the hand, made me a man. That one night, you made everything all right. Then it's like, so raw, so wrong, so right. It's like so raw, like they didn't have protection. Yeah. Also, Toby is the strangler. Everything was like consistent to character, right? Like that one episode where Pam wants to hit Michael Scott for dating her mom, and she's like, I want to hit you. And then so they're outside waiting for Pam to hit Michael, and then Michael turns to Kelly, and she's eating popcorn, like, you know, she's ready for the show, and he's like, you're eating popcorn? And then she says, it has almost no calories, which is great because her character is always obsessed with diet. So it's kind of, you know, so how she responds to that, she doesn't say, oh, I'm getting ready for the show, or you always eat popcorn at a show. She says, she responds in a way that fits her character. You know, it has almost no calories. So these are the adjustment pots for the analog stick. So we're putting a 100K pot across a 10K stick pot. And this basically allows the user to adjust the center position. So if they hold it on their leg a little differently than someone else, they can adjust this. Oh no, the camera's shaking. Well, there's a 3D printer on the same table. Oh, that's not a very good excuse. It doesn't actually translate much motion over here. Hey, wasn't I talking about Rocketeer earlier in this video? I can't remember. I'm doing like 2 videos at once. Well, assuming that was this video, Jen Levinson Gould was in The Rocketeer. Neville Sinclair takes Jennifer Connelly to the club. The singer at the club is Jen Levinson Gould. I want this Jenny Blake banned from the lot. I'm Jenny Blake, I'm banned from the lot. What do you think about my Halo Reach shirt? Everyone seems to love this shirt. I don't know why. Oh, I will say one thing. Rocketeer has an awesome score. I think it's by James Newton Howard. You notice in the newer Avengers movies, Jarvis becomes Vision, I guess? And it's Paul Bettany, who is also the voice of Jarvis. Since Jarvis becomes Vision, Tony Stark needs a new voice for his suit. So then he has like Friday, which is like a female voice, and that voice is played by Jennifer Connelly, who is the wife in real life of Paul Bettany. So basically, yes. So his suit changes to the wife of Jarvis. Haha. You'll never find your way to the center of my labyrinth, Jennifer Connelly. Wait a minute, aren't you like 25 years older than me? Forget about that, baby. There may have been some weird overtones in Labyrinth, but it was the only way for Jennifer Connelly to advance her career opportunities. So that one's in place. Got it screwed in 3 places. Good handhold. Nice, you're ready for the next gen. I've seen commentary that the labyrinth in Labyrinth is just a metaphor for a young woman like discovering her, you know, feelings of sexuality and whatnot. I know that sounds kind of gross, but again, remember, it was executive produced by George Lucas, and he's probably like, well, okay, but before we make this Labyrinth movie,
I'd like everyone to read Hero with a Thousand Faces one more time, and everyone's like, oh God, here we go again. Now, if you see the Minotaur is in the labyrinth, so what if we made the Minotaur be David Bowie, and you have to slay the Minotaur, but the Minotaur is really you coming to grips with your feelings as an adolescent.
Actually, that's probably exactly what they were going for. With a lot of Muppets. So, you think my labyrinth is a piece of cake? Well, my little China girl, let's see how you deal with this little slice. You'll be stuck in here well until your golden years. I stopped and shook his hand and made my way back home. Through miles and miles I planned, find myself at home. I wonder if Jermaine Clements has to pay royalties to the estate of David Bowie, since he's always being David Bowie. It's like, my job is to be a professional David Bowie. It's like, hey, we need a David Bowie crab for this animated movie. Call Jermaine Clements. Hey, we need a David Bowie gas cloud for this episode of Rick and Morty. Call Jermaine Clement. Are you looking for the most eclectic range of topics possible on a YouTube channel? You've come to the right place. Ben Heck hacks and talks about the subtext of Labyrinth. I was used to make Allison mad by quoting that movie because it's like her favorite movie. Oh wait, I'm sorry. It's her favorite American movie. And I would be like, forget about the baby. And I would say it like a Monty Python impression of a French person. And she's like, that's not what he sounds like at all. What I've done here is to tie the grounds and positive rails of the potentiometers together so that, basically acts like it does on the circuit board. So I've got my signals coming from the main board, and then I've got my add-on potentiometer signals, and I've marked black so I know which one's ground. They said you'd die alone, a long, long way from home. Do-do-do-do-do-do, not me. Do-do-do-do-do. I never lost control. Your face to face with the man who sold the world. Dun, 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 dun. Thank you, thumbnails. It's kind of hard, well, not hard documenting this in video, but I've done this so many times, I kind of do it on autopilot, so I just start doing it without thinking about it, or I, start rambling about Labyrinth. All right, all the wiring's in place, so let's fold it into the chamber, make sure we don't pinch anything. Got the analog cap on, and then we put this over it. Come on, there we go. Yeah, look at that. And now I'll do the same thing with the right-handed controller. I think it's funny, I see all these YouTube game reviewers being like, well, I played this new game released in late 2020, and it's cool and all, but it's really buggy and glitchy. Why? It's like, gee, everyone's working from home and you don't have offices filled with playtesters. I wonder why games are buggy. These YouTube game people, seriously, they're so dumb. They can't think. So yeah, basically you're paying for a bunch of intricate wiring to be done, kind of like how you pay a surgeon to intricately wire your heart. Looks like this down direction isn't soldered quite right. Yeah, I gotta find a replacement for these switches. It's just, I don't know. There's just too much room for error. Ben Heckendorn is Dr. Old, coming to NBC this fall, because the only kind of shows they make on television are about doctors. Hello, I'm Dr. Old. Dr. Old, what's wrong with me? It appears you've been run over by a semi. Is there any cure? Leeches. Take 5 leeches a day and let them suck out your blood, and then you'll be fine. Dr. Old, why do you sound like the butler on Spider-Man 3? Because I do. I tended your father's wounds, Harry. Even though he was dead, so there's no reason to do that. He definitely died of his own blade, because you may not have known this, but before I was a butler, I did forensic analysis of knife wounds. But then Giuliani cleaned up New York and I was out of work, so I became a butler. Well, there we go. 2 single-headed controllers, left and right, made with the new Xbox Core controller. So yeah, this controller works on both the existing Xbox One consoles and the new Xbox One S and X. Terrible names. if you can manage to find one, which you won't. Yeah, so anyway, if you order a controller, Xbox controller from me, from now on, I'll be using these because it's getting really hard to find the Xbox One controllers, and for whatever reason at retail, they're actually more expensive than these. Like, these are 60, and the new controllers are 65, which means I also need to raise my prices because they, once again, raised the prices of controllers this generation. That's where they really get you. And if you need one of these controllers, you can go to benheck.com, a website that I no longer really update, but I think do the forums still work? Where would they be even? Where are the forums? It's benheck.com / No. It's a subdomain, if I want to say, right? Forums.benheck.com. They're still there. Oh, yes. Yeah, we had to lock them off because of spam bots. We didn't have any moderators anymore, but all the knowledge is still here. Oh, BenHeck forums are back. Oh, wait. How did someone post in November 26th of 2020? I better check this out. Let's see. Am I late to the party? I had to oh man, this database got so dirty. I had to clean it up so many times. While I love the Pathos Nightwheel, unfortunately the masses will never be drawn to portabilizing like they were in the years past. The decline started when you could emulate on a PSP and basically fell off a cliff once you could on tablets and smartphones, and they became ubiquitous. Well, this person has a good vocabulary, I'll give them that. This place could still be useful for general console hacking. Similar, I didn't realize people could still post on this. I should know this because, it's my site. And Spider-Man's fighting his clone. Oh, Palmer Tech. Oh yeah, long ago, back in the mid 2000s, Lady Ada Fruit and Palmer Lucky were actually on these forums. How do people actually get? Oh, maybe. Oh, you know what it is? It's probably no new members are allowed, but old members can still come on here. First post of 2020. Lol. Oh, this is before 2020 turned into the year of heck. I'm glad it's back again. It's been back for years. I mean, it never really went away. I actually cleaned it up really good and upgraded it to PBBH5 when I redid my site on DigitalOcean. All right, well, anyway, yeah, so if you go to benheck.com, and if you're not looking at the forums, you can basically go to store. I guess I could put a, yeah, there isn't even a link for the forums. The forums actually still get a lot of traffic. Like when they were doing some of the classic mods for things. So that's why one of the reasons I left them up is because a lot of stuff links to them still, right? Anyway, yeah, PlayStation 4 or Xbox One / Series X. Terrible name. Anyway, that's where you can buy them from. And who knows? Maybe I'll forget to raise the price $10 and you can still get a great deal. All right, well, I guess we'll see you in the next video.